Your hour has come.
Pastor Jerry will always say, you will not see the rain. You will not see the rain, but your valley shall be filled with water. Pastor Jerry, during your birthday, August last year, I conceived my daughter. 16th of May 2026 this year, I put to bed. Pastor Jerry, this is my human souvenir. People go to parties and they go home with items. We will come to your own birthday through our phone, and we go home with life-changing testimonies. For me, I got a baby. I got a full-fledged human being. What God cannot do does not exist. Pastor Jerry, the Lord will bless you. I present to you my Akachupu, Zuro Ejiofo.
A year ago, on Baba's birthday, I was believing God for the fruits of the womb. And I thank God. I keyed into it. I danced like never before. I worshipped like never before all through the worship section. I also saw when mommy came up to the podium and said, Papa, today, free us to use your account details, your personal account. I also keyed on that. I thank God that at the end of it all, God gave me my bundle of joy. I glorified the name of God all through the period. It was very smooth, and even on the delivery was a mercy day prayer. I said, when we don't know what to say, we should shout EL-ROI. Here is my evidence. Emmanuel, Theophile, Noah, my baby EL-ROI, have come to return all the glory unto the Lord.
Last year, 2025, during Pastor Jerry's birthday, he made declarations. Women believing God for the fruit of the womb, receive your babies. And I and my husband were believing God for the fruit of the womb. We received the declarations. And the next month, September 2025, I tested positive. And the journey was seamless. And my baby came out very fast. The labor was in less than an hour. I gave birth to my baby girl. I gave birth in May 2026. Everything was okay. I thank God for everything. It was a normal delivery. What God cannot do does not exist.
In 2025, when it was coming close to Pastor Jerry's birthday, Pastor has asked us to send in our prayer request. So pray with Pastor Jerry. I sent in my birthday request. In fact, the number 2 of my request was that God should bless my sister who had been married for 15 years without children. God should bless her with a set of twins, a boy and a girl. I sent in that email and we continued praying. So this year, 2026, on the 19th of June, my sister gave birth to a set of twins, a boy and a girl. As I have asked the Lord, indeed, what God cannot do, it does not exist. What EL-ROI cannot do does not exist. We dey pray. We dey pray. We dey pray. I'm coming back for more. Pastor Jerry, God will bless you. The oil on your head will not run dry. Anybody that plans evil upon you, God will recompense them with tribulation in the name of Jesus. What God cannot do does not exist. Bye.
We are the family of Osas. We have come to return all the glory to this faithful God, the God of the fire altar, for what he has done for us as a family. It all started some years back. We got married 2018, and then 2019 I gave birth to my first son. And after that period, I started observing some things in my marriage, and then we saw a gynecologist about it. And then the gynecologist told us it was erectile dysfunction. That was the challenge we had. So for over how many years in my marriage, it wasn't a pleasant situation at all. As the years kept going on, things started getting worse. As couples, we will be together even 4 months. We've not had sexual intercourse. Sometimes we want to try, but no erection, nothing. If it managed to erect, before you know it will just fall, just like that. For every little thing, I always want to quarrel with my husband. In fact, sometimes I deliberately set trap for him to fall because he does everything for me as a woman. Sometimes I tell him, I said, that one thing that you need to do for me as a woman, to crown up all the things you are doing for me, is missing in my marriage. So sometimes little things will just strike me up. I will begin to nag, quarrel unnecessarily. But the man, the innocent man, will not answer me. Sometimes when I finish talking, I will still be the one to go back and say, I'm sorry. Last time, before the mid-year fast, I remember there was a day I quarreled him seriously. In fact, I told him, I said, how will you feel if you find me sleeping with another one, if you get me cheating on you with another man. He told me he would feel bad. That was the point it has gotten to. I was fed up. At that point, I knew that my marriage was in trouble. I couldn't take it anymore because it's over 6 years now. No form of sexual satisfaction as a woman. When I see my people talking about sex, I don't even know what it means like for a woman to even release, to even enjoy sex or nothing. I've been going through that challenge over 6 years in my marriage. And then when Papa declared the mid-year fast, 3 days before that mid-year fast, I remember I quarreled with him and I told him a lot of things. And my husband told me something. He said, "Is there anything you have told me to do about this that I have not done? We have bought medications. Sometimes my husband will end up taking drugs. Yet we will sleep and wake up, no erection, nothing. And during the work hours, the effect of the drug, it will start affecting him, his head, heart palpitation, and all that. There's nothing we have not done. We even told our parents about it. That's his dad and my dad. My dad looked for a solution. All these things, they mix. He took it, nothing. We went through the internet, saw a lot of things, we started practicing it, nothing. There was no difference. And that day after we quarreled, my husband in tears told me, he said, "Do you think if it's within my power, I will not do it?" I cried, I wept bitterly that day onto bed. And I told him, I said, "I will never quarrel you about this thing again." And that day I realized, I said, what am I serving God for? Is there anything God cannot do? And I'm in the fire altar. So I told him, I said, "I will not talk to you about this, I will not disturb you." I just knew within me, I made up my mind that day that I would channel it to the God of the fire altar. And Papa declared the mid-year fast. And I told my husband, before now, I've been the only one on the altar. So I called him and I told him, I said, "We are beginning mid-year fast in Nsppd. Can you please join us? Because I will not be praying for you and you will not be praying. Two of us should pray together. Put your faith so that it will work for us." My husband told me no problem. So he started joining for the mid-year fast. We were fasting together. And then every afternoon, I go on my knees in my shop and I pray to God. I keep telling him, I said, "EL-ROI, take away this thing that wants to break my marriage." Because at that point, I was tired. I've already considered giving up. Where will I go to? Is it to get somebody that will satisfy me sexually and not care for me the way my husband does? So at that point, I was fed up. I know this thing was about to break my marriage. So every day I cry to EL-ROI. I say, "EL-ROI, take it away." And so you created this thing for a purpose. God did not create the organ of my husband as just for fancy. Put it in order. Let it do the purpose for which it was created. You know that this thing is important in marriage. Without this thing, the marriage will not go well. As I was praying, I was believing God that one day, Papa will also mention this case, erectile dysfunction. I kept praying. And one day I heard Papa, for the first time, because I've never heard it on the prayer altar. For the first time, I heard Papa say, "Erectile dysfunction, let it be reversed."
Any erectile dysfunction, the devil is a lie. You know, so let it be reversed.
I shouted, "Amen." I started crying in tears and in pains. Because it's only me that know the pains I have gone through in my marriage as a woman. I have never known what is called sexual satisfaction. So that day, I sent a message to my husband. I said, "Dearie, we are meeting tonight." And my husband came that night. So me, I don't know how he must have felt. It's like every time we try to meet, it's like reminding him of his inability, of his dysfunctions. I sent that message to my husband. I told him we are meeting tonight. And it's unlike me. That night, we came exhausted and then we slept. But exactly around 4, I felt a tap and I woke up and I tapped my husband and I said, "Jerry, it is time." Very confident. So I told him, "Fear not, EL-ROI is involved." For the first time, after 7 years in marriage, for the first time, we had sexual intercourse. For the first time in 7 years, the Holy Spirit did it for me. I saw erection, the kind I have never seen in my life. I saw erection. It was so erect. In fact, I started shouting, "EL-ROI, EL-ROI, EL-ROI." It was over 30 minutes we were on. I was shouting, "EL-ROI, EL-ROI, EL-ROI." And in the midst of that, I heard the voice of God. He said, "You could go on and on and on." I was telling my husband, "EL-ROI said we can go on and on and on and on." In fact, I've come to thank this big God. I have come to thank this big God. Because now I know what it means to be satisfied sexually in marriage. And from that day to today, it's over 10 times. It has been erect. If I just touch, it will stand. It has been erect. I come to say thank you, Jesus. Pastor Jerry, I come to say thank you. What God cannot do does not exist. What God cannot do does not exist. Thank you, Pastor.
Those who get breast cancer, leave them alone. Those who get prostate cancer, let them go. Let them go. Let them go. Anyone you give any form of cancer, let them go.
I'm making this testimony from Abba on behalf of my neighbor. This woman has gotten to her to the stage of her menopause. April this year, 2026, she started seeing her monthly flow again. And the flow was not a normal flow. The flow was too much, the cramp was too much. The doctor that is a medical student told her to go to the hospital. She went to the hospital. The doctor asked her that she's going to go for scan. She did scan. They find out that she had a growth in her womb, that they need to scrape it out. They scrape the growth out, that they will take it for test. They took it for test. The result came out after 3 months, being June 2026. They said it was cancer. The woman was so devastated. She told me I was so devastated. But I told her that we'll take this to the altar of fire. She accepted. She's in Nsppd and she accepted. We took it to the altar of fire. She said what she needs is prayers. We started praying together. We prayed. On Wednesday, being no Lord show me mercy, Pastor Jerry mentioned the case.
They told you it was cervical cancer. The devil is a liar. Let it be reversed.
Pastor Jerry, August 2026 this year, the final result came out. No cancer. Pastor Jerry, no cancer. Indeed, what God cannot do does not exist.
Those results are mine. It really devastated me. I'm also a member of Nsppd, and to God be the glory, everything was reversed. Stage 2 cervical cancer was reversed. When I repeated my biopsy, I really indulged myself in prayer with my friend that was backing me up. At the end of the day, in fact, it's a miracle. It's a miracle. I just believe in the word of the Lord, that the Lord answered my prayers.
I'm here to thank God for healing me from cancer. I joined this platform 2022 during COVID when I was diagnosed of cancer, and a friend sent me this link. So when I went for the operation, they found out that it was stage 3 cancer. The man of God mentioned,
the help of the Lord is visiting women with breast cancer. Women with breast cancer.
For one reason, I just accepted that it was for me. Then after 1 year, I was declared cancer free. So I've come to give God all the glory. Thank you, EL-ROI, for the great things you have done.
Making this recording from the United States of America on behalf of 2 of my friends who had approached me with their medical conditions. The first one's name is Jonathan. Jonathan is a very nice guy. When he confided in me about his medical condition, saying he had colorectal cancer stage 4, it really broke my heart. I didn't know how to take that news because I really liked this dude. However, I introduced him to Nsppd. He didn't know what it is. I told him I'm going to place his case on the altar of fire, and that if he could, he should do well to join the online prayers that commences at 1 a.m. my time, Central Standard Time. So when I came online, I prayed and asked God to put his case on the prophet's lips. On the 4th day, when I came online, little had Papa started praying. He just mentioned his case, colorectal cancer. I announced, let it be reversed.
Colorectal cancer. Colorectal cancer. The devil is a liar. I announced, let it be reversed.
I jumped up and I claimed it. And the next day, I couldn't wait to call him to inform him that his case was specifically addressed on the altar of fire. So he told me that he has been scheduled for an appointment with the doctor. So I said, okay, go with God. What the doctor saw before, they will see it no more. So when he was done with his appointment, he called me to tell me that the doctor said there's no cancer cells circulating anywhere in his body. He said, how does one go from stage 4 colorectal cancer to there is no cancer cells circulating anywhere in his body? I said, that can only be God. I just knelt down and waved my hands in the air. Here comes the second one. It's for Dr. Lee. Dr. Lee has a son who is 15 years old, and his son was plagued with Hodgkin lymphoma cancer. Similarly, he came and asked that I include him in my prayers. So I introduced him to the altar of fire. I sent him the link as well to join online if he could, and I specifically requested that he sent his son's picture so that I could use it as a medium whenever I pray on the altar of fire. I prayed that God should put the young man's case on Papa's lips. It wasn't long, Papa hammered on it again. It was like he heard my telephone. I don't know how he does it, but he hears. When the moment somebody says something, he hears immediately. Papa just mentioned his case, Hodgkin lymphoma.
I hear Hodgkin lymphoma. Hodgkin lymphoma. Hodgkin lymphoma. If you are the one, put it on the live stream. The devil is a liar. The devil is a liar. Let it be reversed.
I jumped up and I claimed it, and I called the doctor the next day and told him that his son's case was addressed on the altar of fire. So, and that what the doctor saw before, they will see it no more. When the son went for chemotherapy session, Dr. Lee called me to tell me that the doctor said there won't be need for him to continue. I just glorify God and have come to return all the praises and glory to God and to thank Papa immensely for what God is using him to do in the lives of people, countless people all around the globe.
My name is Moni. I came in from Ilorin to share this testimony. I had my son in 2019. At the time he was 2 years old, we discovered that he had cognitive impairment that affected his growth, his speech, his behaviors, as well as his development and, his abilities to learn. Then in 2022, sometime in April 2022, my husband told me if I've heard about Pastor Jerry, and I said no. And then he sent me video testimonies of mothers who have received their healing for their children, and then he encouraged me to join as well. So on the 26th of April 2022 was the first time I ever joined, but I joined late. Prayers had already finished, and then Pastor Jerry was talking about the next day, which was on a Wednesday, "Oh Lord, show me mercy." And then he was saying how the biggest testimonies they received so far had come from "Oh Lord, show me mercy," and then he was encouraging people to join and all of that. So I was really excited. The next day I joined, and I was very, very happy because, the tenacity, the prayers, everything, it just felt really good. Like, I was very happy. I knew that, okay, this is it. This is where my son's healing is going to come from. Because at the time he was 2 years old, he wasn't talking at all. No words. He would only make weird vibrations, weird behaviors. I couldn't go out at all. Like, my life practically revolved around him. There was no sleep. There was no rest, so it actually took everything away from me. And then for every mother that testified about the healing of their children, some mothers said that, they kept the prayers on, Nsppd prayers on, through the night. I did that for over 2 years. Whether he was sleeping during the day, whether I was at night, Nsppd was always playing, to the point that he began to, when he wants to sleep at night, he would say, "We know," meaning, "Mommy, play me that We Know song," like that's prayers, that song. So I'll play it, he continued like that. On the 30th of May, Pastor Jerry said, "There is a special grace the Lord is pouring out on children with autism and all forms of slow development. At least today, there shall be a major miraculous changes in their lives, and that parents who have their children around should just lay their hands on them and everything." But he wasn't around. He was already in school. So I laid my hands on his picture, and then I declared. And that was where the change started from. My son never called mommy. My son never called daddy. I never heard his voice. I practically yearned to hear this boy's voice. Like, let me just know what your voice sounds like. Like, I craved for it. And then he began to say, "Mommy." He called mommy. He called daddy. And when we go out, we could ask him, "Do you want this?" He would say yes. He would say no. The change started like that. And then before, he could not sleep at all. My son didn't used to sleep. God, my son did not used to sleep. When you see him, you will know this boy is going through a lot. Like a child that's supposed to grow through their sleep. Mine wasn't sleeping. The only way I could get my son to sleep was carrying him on my shoulders. He would sleep on my shoulders 3 hours here. When he wakes up, I feed him, I put him on my other shoulder for another 3 hours. When he became heavy and I could not carry him on my shoulders again, I began to carry him on my chest. Till he was almost 4 years old. He slept on my chest. It began to affect my health. But I stayed on the altar and I know, okay, this boy, there must be a change in your life. I am here not for decoration. Every other person is getting their testimony. I will get my own here. And then the change began. Pastor Jerry also said another word also came on the altar, and then he said children with autism, ADHD, cerebral palsy, learning disabilities, let them all be reversed.
All the mercies of God is coming on children with slow development, on children with slow development, autism, Arab Down syndrome, any form of learning disability, by the mercies of God, let it be reversed.
And everything just changed. Everything just changed. It began to communicate. Even in his school, the school had reached out to us earlier that, because he's not talking, he's not communicating, all of that changed. He became responsive in school, interactive in school. He didn't used to play with people before. Everything changed, and then in school, at the time my son was almost 4 years old, he was not writing. I mean, he could not write one, he could not write it. And then the word came. The school reached out to us today and told us, okay, because your son, we have seen a lot of improvement, but because he's not able to write yet, we want him to repeat this particular class so that we can focus on his writing, and help him and all of that. I was very sad because my husband just called. My husband went to pick him up in school, and then he called me for my consent. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then when I got home, I was very, very sad. I could not even pray. My heart was just talking to God. And then on the next day on the altar of fire, Pastor Jerry, declared and said, children with autism and all of that. And then for the first time since I joined Nsppd, Pastor Jerry said, learning disabilities, let them be reversed. In fact, I didn't even know that was the name was called. But the moment he made that word, I'm like, yes, this is it. My son had learning disabilities. And then, like that, the word came the first time, learning disabilities be reversed, disappear. It came like 4 times, and I connected to those words. I was expectant, but because it was already, they were already on holidays and we had already traveled, so I was looking forward to him to resume school. And then I told God, I said, God, the word has gone ahead. By the time this boy resumes school, I want them to tell me that, 2 weeks into the resumption, that, your son is fit to go to his next class. And that was exactly what happened. 2 weeks into the resumption, the school called me and said, madam, your son is fit. He's writing perfectly now. In fact, I wish I brought his notes. So that you can see his handwriting. Now he's doing very well. He writes very well. His last exam, he had all A's. I brought his result. Now my son communicates. He can talk. My son can talk. In fact, now I have to tell him, baby, keep quiet. You are disturbing me. Keep quiet. Like, he talks to the point that sometimes you have to tell him, hold your lips. Hold your lips. That's what God has done for me. I've come to return all the glory back to God. Glory to Jesus.
Oh, God cannot do it. I know.
Family, we love you. We celebrate you. We celebrate the grace of God on your life. We are grateful for the things that you do. Pastor Jerry, please don't stop. Please don't stop. We appreciate you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for all that you do. God bless you, sir.
Somebody celebrate EL-ROI. Celebrate EL-ROI. Celebrate EL-ROI. Celebrate EL-ROI. Somebody give the Lord a loud shout. Somebody shout EL-ROI. Scream EL-ROI. What our God cannot do. Saints of God, who will not serve a God like our God?